6 things that surprised me after moving to Canada. Really interested to see what these surprises are. Before we do get into this video, appreciate if you guys can hit that subscribe button. Let's check out a bit of Canada.
First off, climate.
Mate, yo, those leaves are so red. I don't think I've ever seen a leaf that red in my life. Damn. Beautiful. Stunning.
Number 1, apparently it's weird to carry an umbrella over your head during the summer. Back home, it's pretty common to use umbrellas rain or shine, but when I did that here in Canada, especially during the summer...
Oh, okay. That's interesting. So obviously she's talking about culture shocks being from the Philippines and from the UK. We don't have umbrellas above our head during the summer. We don't really have much summer heat. We do have, you know, recently we do have a little bit more than we normally did, but it's just a few weeks.
I got a lot of weird looks.
Really?
I guess because it only shines 3 months out of the year here in Canada, a lot of people tend to embrace the warmth and sunshine, and so wearing sunscreen, a cap, and a pair of shades would...
That's the same like the UK. When we do have this sun, we gotta embrace it.
...suffice. But an umbrella? Maybe keep that just for the rainy season instead. Up next, time. Time zones here are pretty weird. Here in Vancouver, there's Pacific Standard Time, while in Ontario, there's Eastern Standard Time. But what's surprising to me is that there are 4 other time zones here in Canada. So if
it is that... Wait, that's all of them? That's crazy to think about. Like, being in the UK, we're all one time zone. I know America's got different time zones, but 6 different time zones? So you got Vancouver, 12:39, Toronto, 3:39, Halifax, 4:39, Calgary, 1:39, Winnipeg, 2:39, St. John's, 5. And bro, that's so weird. That's confusing, man.
I wanted to catch up with a good friend in another province, for example, in Halifax. I'd have to account for the time difference before setting up a catch-up date.
There's a 6-hour difference.
On another note, let's talk about daylight savings. So it's basically the practice of adjusting our clocks twice a year, moving it 1 hour forward on the second Sunday
1
of
hour
March,
back.
and 1 hour back on the first Sunday in November. Which reminds me, it's coming up pretty soon. I never really had to change my clock and my body clock, but since the sun can still be out here at 9 p.m. in the summer and set at 3 or 4 p.m. in the winter, I understand why it exists. Up next, money. One thing you should know is the tipping etiquette in Canada, or Vancouver to say the least. Here, it's expected to tip a minimum of 10%.
See, this is what I learned about with Canada, and what I was a little bit surprised about is like the tipping culture over there as well. See, I didn't really know much of Canada anyway, but I didn't think there was much of a tipping culture. Like, just like the UK, where there's not much of a tipping culture.
But 15 to 20% would be ideal. So if you're ever dining out with friends and it's time to split the bill, just make sure to account for the cost of the meal, the taxes included, and the tip. On another note, one of the biggest shockers for me is finding out the cost of living here in Canada. I would always compare how much things cost here versus how much they cost in the Philippines. And I'd always get surprised by how big the price difference is. For example, 100 pesos or a little over 2 Canadian dollars would get you a decent meal in the Philippines.
$2? Oh, wow. Hey, in the UK, $2, you're barely getting a drink. You're probably not getting a drink from anywhere.
Like, we're talking about a full meal with rice and drinks. But here in Canada, a basic meal would probably run you up $7 to $10.
Right, yeah, that's the same here.
The first few months,
in fact, the UK is actually more. A normal meals between, I would say, well, it depends like where you go. Are we talking about fast food or not? But I would say on average, it's around £10. Right? £8 fast food, 10, 15, 20 pound, like a pub or something, which is like what? I don't even know how many Canadian dollars that is.
Of living here and discovering how much it costs to eat out, I would guilt trip myself whenever I order food outside. But I had to remind myself that relocating to a new country means subjecting myself to a new standard of living. It was also in Canada that I learned about credit cards. Back home, I was more used to cash transactions, and while I did have a credit card, thanks mom, I would only ever use it for emergencies. So when it came time for me to apply for my own credit card here in Canada, one helpful advice that I got from family and friends is to really look at the credit card rewards or benefits and choose one that suits your lifestyle.
What do you mean benefits?
Don't just look at the student packages, although that is a good start, but really look into the rewards or features, because if you're gonna be spending a lot of money living here, you might as well get the most out of it.
Wait, what kind of benefits? Like, I know some banks in the UK do some benefits with cards, but it's not like anything that you would look at. You know what I mean? Like, people in the UK, we don't really look at the bank benefits to go with that bank. We just go with the bank. Like, they're not normally good. I don't know if Canada have really good benefits, but yeah.
Up next, let's talk about people.
Okay, the people.
One of the first things I noticed when I moved here was that a lot of Canadians engage in friendly small talk. Back home, we're usually to ourselves and rarely engage in small talk.
Right.
But here, I had to learn the art of reciprocating while keeping it brief and casual. Another thing about people here is that they tend to be very straightforward and pragmatic. People aren't afraid to speak their mind, even if it seems brutally honest or direct. I've grown to appreciate this over time.
Wait. Okay. So what I know about Canadian people is super chill, right? Super chill, super cool. Well, the Canadians that I know, right? But, yeah. So you guys are really direct. So if I wore a very ugly hat out, a Canadian would be like, I can't do a Canadian accent, but they'd be like, hey, buddy, that hat sucks.
But it may come off as a surprise to other people the way it did to me.
Okay.
Up next, let's talk about food.
Yeah, let's talk about food. Let's talk about the food. Let's see some good food.
When I started making friends here, the first meal that people would recommend I try is poutine. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, yeah, I've been hearing poutine throughout these Canadian videos quite a bit. You guys, maple syrup and poutine, I'm hearing a lot.
When I first saw it, it didn't look as appetizing, but after that first bite, I was immediately hooked. So looks can be deceiving, but this one actually turns out for the better.
What is that? Is that like chips, cheese, and gravy? Is that what that is?
Another notorious food item here are ketchup-flavored chips.
Heard of them as well.
Ketchup. To be honest,
I want to try
not my
them.
fave. It's really hard to top barbecue-flavored chips, but if you like trying new things, you can add ketchup-flavored chips to your list.
Hey, I want to try them just to see what they're like. I need to know what they're like.
And finally, the Vancouver sushi scene here is phenomenal. And pair that with a local craft beer.
They look like
bada
cakes.
Bing, bada boom. You got the winning combo.
Bada bing, bada boom. See, I'm not a big sushi guy, but I would try it. I would try everything. So, the sushi I had in the UK was terrible, but it didn't look like that. It looked a lot worse than that.
Bada bing, bada boom. You got the winning combo. Last but not least, let's talk about transit.
Okay. Yeah, how is Canadian transit? Like, is the public transit any good or? Okay, it looks clean.
One of my first worries about coming to Canada was how to get around the city via public transit.
Right.
I honestly thought that I would need to allot at least 2 hours to get from home, school, or work. But to my surprise, I would only ever need 30 to 40 minutes to get around the Metro Vancouver area.
Okay.
And that's because the transit system in Canada is so organized and is so efficient.
Well, that's good.
To this day, I still prefer to take the bus or train because of the convenience it offers. That, and because I also suck at driving here. Which reminds me, if you plan on driving in Canada, especially in BC, booking a road test here is so challenging. Like, you would need to book 6 months in advance or be on standby if ever someone forgets or cancels their appointment.
Oh,
really,
wait, the UK is kind of getting like that. So she's on about her driving like test to pass the driving, right? Yeah, UK is getting exactly like that. It's really, really long a long wait, or you gotta wait for a cancellation now.
It's like Hunger Games out here. Lastly, I also learned that I had to unlearn a lot of the habits and practices that I got accustomed to back home in order to be a better driver here in Canada.
Right, yeah, that's the same with the UK. The UK drives On the right side, load of different rules. You kind of got to forget that and learn new ones.
So, long story short, take your driving lessons.
Right.
It'll help out a bunch. Anyway, that's it. That's all
That
I
was
have
cool
for today.
though. That was very cool to see her Culture Shocks moving to Canada. If you guys want to let me know any more information about Canada and living there in the comments, please do. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe for more content. I appreciate you guys showing love on these videos and me checking out Canada. It does mean a lot. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.